All right, let's get into the Raven's Vademecum. And I want you to know, this isn't just some story. Think of it as a dark parable, a deep dive into a really profound and difficult kind of transformation, a journey that demands everything from those who dare to take it.
Right from the jump, this quote tells you everything. We really have to get our heads around this idea. The journey we're about to follow, this descent, or Untergang, it's not being presented as a failure. Not at all. It's framed as a deliberate, even prideful choice, a powerful affirmation of the here and now, of this world over anything else.
So where does our story begin? Well, it starts from the top, or maybe I should say, from the bottom. We're seeing this through the eyes of a sovereign figure, watching everything unfold from the depths. Let's call him the Prince of Darkness. Yeah, so from this shifting throne down in the abyss, the prince is watching his followers, the Tarantula preacher and a synthesized Wiccan. And for him, this isn't some tragedy, no way. He sees it as a total victory, the perfect writing in blood. It's living proof of his own relentless will to power.
So what's the thinking behind all this? This slide really breaks it down. This entire philosophy rejects what the source calls the tepid virtues of the sun. You know, your standard ideas of morality, kindness, mercy. Instead, it celebrates cruelty and hardness. Why? Because those are the tools you need to really anchor your influence in the real world, the gritty marketplace of man. The prince looks at them and sees his own reflection, that same sharp worldly wisdom.
So you might think they've made it, right? They've proven themselves. But that success, well, that was just a prologue. A whole new chapter is about to begin, and it starts with the arrival of a dark messenger, one summoned right from the night's Plutonian shore.
And that title, Vademecum, it's absolutely key. A Vademecum isn't just any old guide, it's a handbook, something you carry with you at all times for essential information. So when this raven appears, it's not just a passing omen, it's meant to become their constant, indispensable manual for the rest of the way.
Okay, this comparison really shows you what kind of guide we're talking about here. The text puts it right up against the dove, a symbol of peace, always looking for a clean, dry place to rest. This raven is the exact opposite. It's a scavenger of truth, finding its food in the wreckage and what's left behind after the disaster. It's not a prophet of peace, it's a prophet of the lightning. So the raven shows up, and it's carrying this silent invitation from the deep. And the message is crystal clear. That success you had back in the marketplace, that was just practice. To keep going, you have to realize that easy path is actually a trap, and it's time to leave it behind for a real test. And once they accept that invitation, everything changes. They're turning away from the known world and heading into totally uncharted territory, what the source calls a jagged, unmapped heresy. Now, you might think this new path is some physical place, but nope. The first part of the journey is inward. The raven directs them to a labyrinth of the body, a deep dive into themselves, into their physical instincts, to face whatever is hiding down there.
And what's buried in that labyrinth? Well, according to the text, it's all the primal, atavistic, and savage secrets that the so-called righteous have spent centuries trying to hide from the light. This isn't just a journey, it's an act of reclaiming what's been suppressed.
And you have to understand, this isn't just another step. The text calls it the third sloughing. It's a really powerful image, right? Like a snake shedding its skin. They have to cast off yet another layer of who they used to be, another set of attachments, if they want to keep going.
And here it is, the stakes laid out plain and simple. This is a do-or-die situation, absolutely no middle ground. The raven's path goes straight into a great deep, a crucible where their core belief, the will to power, is either going to grow beyond measure or it's going to be completely destroyed. There's no option to just hang out or turn back.
Okay, so they're on board, they accept the guide, they accept the path. But what does that really mean? Well, they're basically signing a contract, and the terms are, let's just say, they're very demanding.
The number one rule of this contract is that transformation never stops. It's not a one-and-done deal. It's a constant process of overcoming. And it requires what the text calls the cruelty of always leaving behind what feels safe and familiar, all for the sake of getting stronger.
So we get it, it's a tough path, it demands constant overcoming. But what's the final price of admission? What is the one non-negotiable term they have to agree to in order to seal this deal?
There it is, the final shedding. Not just getting rid of weakness or old beliefs, but the absolute sloughing off of any human mercy they have left. That's the price you pay to enter the great deep. a complete and total departure from compassion as we know it.
And you have to see this from the prince's point of view. For him, this isn't a destructive act, it's a creative one. By shedding that last bit of humanity, they're no longer just followers or dead companions. They've been promoted. Now they're fellow creators, active partners in building a new, permanent order.
All right, the deal is done. The contract is accepted, the terms are clear, and now the real test, the true journey, finally begins.
So this new path, think of it like a giant spiritual filter, what the text calls a threshing floor. It's designed to sort everyone into two groups. You have the wheat, which is defined here as the individually evil, those who fully embrace this harsh new reality. They get separated and kept. Then you have the chaff, the pious and the weak. They get tossed aside.
And as soon as they step onto this new path, the old world starts to dissolve. That whole marketplace scene where they were so successful, it just flickers and fades out of view. That chapter is officially closed.
And what takes its place? The storm gets worse. But remember the rules of this parable. The storm isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's the whole point. The text calls it a sacred no to comfort and a deep yes to the savage beauty of the trial that's coming. The storm is the trial. So, as our acolytes walk right into the heart of this storm, what do they have to guide them? Well, they've got three key instruments. The will of their prince is their anchor, keeping them grounded. The raven is their compass, showing them the way. And the journey itself, that becomes their eternal recurrence, this triumphant, unending darkness that they will now live out over and over again.
And that's where we'll leave it, with this final question for you to think about. This whole parable is about a journey away from comfort, away from peace, and directly toward a trial, and it suggests that maybe, just maybe, there are certain truths, certain kinds of wisdom that you can't find in the calm. They can only be found in the absolute heart of the storm.